Today is the 25th of May and we've already lost about 5 weeks because last year in 2021 we started doing the air layerings on the 21st of April. I still have the dates numbered on some of the air layerings we took. So the 21st of April, 21/4/21, we did about 15 or 16 air layerings and they all took within 6 weeks. So although we've missed 5 weeks, it's not too late because the timing of air layering can be done right up to, I would say, even August. But if you do it late in the year, you may not be able to separate it that same year because they may not have formed enough roots. So here we have Josh, who's quite an expert at doing air layering, and I'm also here. So I will show you what is going on. So this is a very tall maple, as you can see. This maple is at least, I would say, 20 feet tall. 20 feet tall, that one, growing in a pot. The roots have gone in the ground and we want to air layer it. One of them will be done at this point where I've painted it yellow. And maybe that one, if Josh can reach it at that junction there to get a multi-trunk, that may be better. Okay, so we'll do these two. So we begin by taking the bark off. I will show you in detail because many people have asked to see it in detail. So we're going to, so the ball is going to go here. And this trunk is about inch and a bit, maybe inch and a half thick. So the cut is going to be about inch deep, not inch deep. Yeah, like that much. We use what is called a Stanley knife, or Americans call it a box cutter. You can use a kitchen knife, paring knife. I dare say if you use the potato chip peeler, that might even work. The critical part is showing how much bark to take off. Be very careful when you handle knives, they can cut you, so be careful. So we're cutting the bark right round the branch. All that bark is coming off. We got to be careful not to remove the cambium. The cambium is almost like an invisible layer. So that's what we are doing. Okay, so that is very, very clear. We don't scrape it off and we don't go into the wood. So this is a view of what we've done. See, we've removed the bark almost completely. And you can feel it's slippery and sliding, and that is the cambium layer there. We haven't scraped into the wood. So now we're going to put the moss ball here, and the roots are going to come from there, not from here, from above there. So the powder is going to put here. So we're going to wet the brush. This is a wet brush, and we're going to smear hormone rooting powder right around.
Watch yourself a little bit.
Brush here. High up. Right on. Okay, that's it. And then we're going to get the sphagnum moss. This is our sphagnum moss. The bigger the root ball, the better. So we're going to make literally a ball to fit the bag. What we call bigger than a grapefruit because that is an inch and a bit thick trunk. Okay, we can put that and then add to it as we go along. This is the tricky bit. Sometimes you wish you had 2 or 3 hands. to hold it. Can you hold the camera for us? Focusing on that. It won't be all over the place. I don't see viewers complain. And I like to tie the bag up with bonsai wire because it's very easy to remove. If you tie it with string and all, it's not so easy. So to keep it like that. Now we've made like a funnel. We can fill more moss in there because the more moss there is, the better. You notice that we always take it at a junction because there's more activity there. So a big ball of moss generates a lot of heat and warmth. So we can just tie a little bit there and then some more wire. Another piece of wire. I'm using 2mm wire because it's much easier to handle. If the wire is too thin, it's quite fiddly. So Josh, you can tie the wire really tight to make it airtight so that no moisture escapes. Absolutely tight. I don't cut the ends of the wire because when it comes to undoing the root ball, the ends of the wire are quite obvious. Some of my staff, they cut it right back and it becomes almost impossible to remove. You have to use pliers to remove. So like this you can easily undo it. So in fact this ball is a bit too tight. Sometimes if it's not airtight you may need to put another bag around it because if it's not airtight it dries out, and once it dries out it's not so effective. So that is the air layering. We'll try and do another one. We're going to do one high up. We always like doing it at junctions because as they say there's a lot of activity going on there.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you an alternative way. Rather than put the ball of moss into the bag, I'm now going to make a funnel because this is what this bag serves to perform. It's performing like a funnel. So we're making like a funnel. You know, can you imagine it's like a drinks bottle? So we're doing a funnel like that. So I've done the funnel. Tight with the wire. So I've tied it just below the cut. You can see in here, the cut is there. So the funnel is there. So I've got it funneled here now. And then when I've made the funnel, I can then fill it with the moss. Okay, so I've now made the funnel and now I just put the moss into that funnel. And I get a nice spread of moss like a ball around the bark, and then when I've got that I then tie it. Don't be a bit stingy on the moss, try and be a bit generous. See, after I put that moss, you see the ball is so small, I want to put more than that, so I'll get some more. So you see I put another handful, 2 handfuls of moss, because as I say, you mustn't be stingy or miserly with the moss. The bigger the moss ball, the better the results because the big moss ball generates more heat. If you have a small moss ball, it doesn't keep it so warm. So that is the size of ball you want. And look at it, the stems are only just about a little bigger than ½ an inch. Then we will just tie it with wire and that's the air layering done. I'm now going to give you some more trade secrets. You must be wondering why I'm with all this apparently rubbish looking pieces of bubble plastic. Bubble plastic is also a very good medium to use for wrapping around the root ball rather than just use ordinary clear plastic bags. The bubble plastic is useful because it's an insulating material, and because it's an insulating material it retains a lot of heat. Remember that like propagating roots in a propagator or sowing seeds, you need a heated propagator. So if you use bubble plastic, the heat generated by the insulation, which this bubble plastic is, will generate more warmth, so you get the roots coming out much quicker. So if you use bubble plastic, you will find that there is a slight advantage. So these are the little experiments that we keep doing to find out what works best, what doesn't work so well. Another little trick I was just showing one of our colleagues is how to use the secateurs rather than a knife. If you follow me around here, we've already prepared this, but rather than just use a knife to go around, what I do, if you just watch the video carefully, I just go around with a secateur like that. Rather than, I'm not cutting the branch, I'm just putting the blade round, scoring the bark. Scoring means S-C-O-R-I-N-G, scoring the bark. That means just making a cut mark, and then with the blade I do this. How easy is that? You don't have to use a kitchen knife or box cutter, just go around with that. So my good old secateurs does many tasks. Really, this company should give me a supply of free Felco secateurs throughout the year. I'm giving so much advertising for them. So that's what I do just with a Felco secateur. So I go right around that, and I've got it without even having to use the knife. So there you go. So that's another great big Acer palmatum, and this one is at least 20 foot tall or more. My goodness me, I think we'll have to chop the tree in half because it won't sustain, the roots won't sustain such a tall air layering. So Josh is just removing the bag. Let's see how much root it has. That will decide whether it is safe to sever the tree or not. See, we put a double bag. Look at the roots on that. Look at the roots on that. This, as you can see, is our maple grove. So these maples are all like 30, 40 feet tall. And there are lots of huge branches which don't get much light, and eventually they'll die. So that air layering we've taken is at least 20 feet tall, maybe more. When we pull it out, we'll see, because I'm not going to keep the air layering that tall. It won't sustain, with that root system. So we're going to show you how we're going to cut it and drag it out. So this part is the harvesting. So you must be wondering why we're cutting it now, because we did it last year rather late and it didn't produce enough roots, so that's why we didn't cut it. So we're going to cut it just below the bag.
I'm meeting it up. I'm going to do it here so I can bring it down.
Yeah. Up here. A little higher? Okay. Yeah.
No, that's here.
Okay.
And I'm going to tidy it up.
All right, okay.
Stop the wood splitting.
So it's going to crash down. Don't know what to cut more.
No. That's slow and controlled. And then that comes off there nicely.
All right.
And then I'll prune the bottom of this off and tidy that up.
It'll sprout branches again from that, and we can make a thick air layering with that. Okay. So we'll drag this out onto the lawn.
If you go out first, I'll walk out behind it.
Okay. Come this way, this is easier. My God, look at that for an air layering.
1 year.
Can you imagine? I could, if I was clever, try to make it a big tree. Okay. All right. If you lie it on the on this patio here, Josh, bring it here, where we can see it better. Okay, just hold it, and then I will take a view from here. Look at that for air layering. All that. Now I've got to decide what to keep. I think if we can make it like a big garden tree with that as the leader, Josh.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the leader. So we cut all that off and shorten the branches.
Yep.
So if I can get Agatha. Agatha is our intern here from
Hello.
Germany. So you're on YouTube now.
Great.
Okay, so you're cameraman for the day. All right, so I will do some lopping. Just focus on the thing. So we're reducing the branches for a very good reason, so that it doesn't make too many demands on the root system. If you have too many green leaves, the green leaves have to be supplied with water, and the tree clearly cannot sustain that. So we can now lie it down, and then we will saw that off. Look at the size of that AirLayering. Look at that. We must be crazy. We all are. All bonsai people are crazy.
I'll get the silky soap here.
Silky, okay? That's okay.
it's
That's fine. We're not going to make such a big tree. We're going to keep some leaves because some leaves are needed as sap pullers. Sap puller meaning that it will make the roots, force the roots to supply it with water, so pull the sap up the tree. So we don't denude the tree completely. There are going to be some leaves left. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to make a leader.
I'm neating up afterwards.
And leave it like that as well. Don't need to make a fuss. Yeah, that'll do.
Let's snap that off, Peter.
Yeah.
Step can't just grab the branch.
Okay, let's stand it up for the lane. Let me just tell you a little bit more. That's about it. So through. Okay, we'll stand it up and let's see what it looks like. It's going to be a nice garden tree. Look at it, instant garden tree in 6 months. Look at that. Oh, it's still big. Still big. Oh God. Well, we'll do it for a laugh. We'll put it in a back greenhouse. We've got the height in the middle of the greenhouse.
Yeah.
And we will put it
Control
up
it
in
in
a
the frame.
heavy pot. I think I need to reduce some of the leaves there. There's too many leaves here.
I like that too.
Okay, that'll do. You can get a better idea as to what it looks like. So that amount of leaf won't put too many demands on the roots from the little root ball there. And now we'll take it to the back greenhouse and pot it up. Okay, so this one will survive.
Oh, I've got a little bit. Got some? Yeah. going on underneath.
Okay. Okay.
Just like that.
On all sides. We stand it in water, but the water mustn't be too deep, otherwise it'll rot the roots. So very careful balance between all different factors. Got water. Maybe like 3 foot of water.
I think I'm right this bit later.
Yeah. Need another one? No.
No, that's all good. It's on the main stem as well, so it's not going to get that heat up.
Keep an eye on this. Okay. Another big air layering. This is 12 foot or 15 foot.
Like that. Heat up.
Yeah, that's it. Magnolia Grandiflora. Let's see the roots. Lots of roots in there. Lots of roots in there.
And flower buds.
Yeah, okay. So they'll flower straight away in the next couple of weeks. Now there's another one which also air layered.
Is this one taken yet? There's a big one there. 2 big ones here. Next one.
There's too much lettering on that bag, so we can't see the roots. Usually you can feel it.
Yeah,
if it feels tight,
roots.
okay, no need to tie too tight. Okay, we just cut it at the junction. Over there.
Agatha.
Careful your fingers.
No, this side.
Yeah, that's it.
So we're
Make
going to
your
keep that
fingers,
branch.
keep your fingers
Yeah,
clear.
that's fine.
Don't
Keep
go.
going. Yep, there you go.
Take your fingers away.
Yeah, that's fine. Go. Nice.
Okay.
Don't video this, but I'll climb up and check.
So we've got 2 which are rooted. So we've got instant tree about 1.5 or 1.6 meter tall. So let me show you what we've done. We are crazy people. There's another air layering right to the apex of the greenhouse, which is 15 feet. So there's a 15-foot air layering. It could have been even taller. It would have been 20 or 25 feet. But you saw we cut it down over there. But it's in that temporary pot with the sphagnum moss. And then if I can just show you what we did with the magnolias. Again, we've put it in quite heavy ceramic pots so that they don't topple over. The transition is very critical. If you transition it badly, the roots will break and the tree will topple over. See, this is a air layering of camellia that we did last year. So that's, again, we have to stand it in just a little bit of water. So this is how it's done. So we've revealed a lot of little secrets and tricks of air layerings. The more we show you, the more hopefully you will be able to learn. And in the next 2 weeks, we've got an air layering course at Herons as well, where people can come and actually do the practical. As I always say to people, it's one thing to learn from books, another thing to learn from videos and to watch me on YouTube, but there's nothing like actually doing hands-on yourself. Unless you actually practice what you've been shown and taught, it doesn't sink in. So I hope you've enjoyed this little detailed video about air layering. I thought I'd finished doing that video about air layering, but nothing is ever finished. There's no job that's ever finished. As I turned my back, I looked around and I looked at all these air layerings which were in the greenhouse, and believe it or not, I haven't even shown the follow-up. And if you come here, Josh was pointing out that, can you see there, 21/4/21. This was started on the 21st of April of 2021, and it rooted, we separated after 6 weeks, and we've already put it in soil. I'll try and take it out, I don't want to destroy it, but I don't want to break the roots. But anyway, look at that, such a thick trunk. That is still the moss there. There's quite a lot of root, but it's well stuck in the pot. So let's go through all of them, because there are so many lovely things that we've airlaid. That's a hornbeam that we've airlaid. Look at the callousing. And that one, look at the roots on that. Look at the roots on that. Air layering. Ready-made bonsai. There you are. That one. And this is Jacqueline Hillier. This is quite rare elm, Jacqueline Hillier elm. So that's one also air-layered. So you can see what's happened here. So this is not a very popular one for doing bonsai, but it can be used. So that's another thing of Jacqueline Hillier, air-layered as well. You can still see all the root ball here. So that is Jacqueline Hillier. This is the maple we showed you. Now this is quite a rare one. Notophagus, the Antarctic beech. So we've got a very interesting bole or trunk over here, really gnarled and twisted. So we probably reposition it like that. You can see all the mosses there. So this was quite a thick air layering there. Now this one we chose to air layer the point where the trunk was very interesting. So you can see the shape of the bonsai already there. I don't want to yank it out of the pot because I'm not sure how much root it has. I may damage it. But you can see the roots in there. So this is the air layering. The moss again is over here. That's another Jacqueline Hillier. This is a Trident maple air layering. Look at the roots in there. And this one of our ordinary mountain maple. And maples I know are the easiest to air layer. Look at it. Taking it out of the moss ball, we then planted it in soil. So this is the first soil planting. So they're all ready to be made into future bonsai. And all these in fact were air layering. So you can see what rich harvest we've had of air layerings. Lots of them.
That's a nice one.
Even that one, this was also air layering. You see, made at a junction. So we never have a dull moment here. This was also air layering.
Yeah.
Also an air layering. And you can tell because the moss ball is still visible.
Yeah. And this one, Peter.
That also, twin trunk. So many air layerings. We probably have to go easy because we're producing such a lot of them. We won't be able to cope. We won't have the space to grow them. Look at that.
That was one as well, Peter. That's other Trident.
Yeah. That's another air layering of Trident maple. So we don't have to grow from seed. I much prefer air layering because we get quick results rather than having to wait. So some of these plants, you see, rather than wait forever, you can even start shaping it if you wish. A bit of shaping and the bonsai will soon appear. So prolific, so prolific. The Jacqueline Hillier, being an elm, propagates from cuttings as well. But how can you produce such a thick trunk tree in such a short space of time? So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is certainly the end.